Hi, sweet ones, and thank you for joining me for this week's episode of Embodied Divinity. I'm so grateful you're here. Let's start with a big, deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let's do one more in through your nose and out through your mouth. I'm going to ask for some grace in advance if there's any sniffling or sneezing on today's episode because I'm healing and moving through a cold. Today, I want to start by saying that you're not doing anything wrong by feeling lost in this season. If you've been feeling heavy or numb or emotional or exhausted or like nothing fits anymore, you're not broken. You're in this sacred in between. And this space between who you were and who you're becoming is holy, one of the most holy places I've ever experienced. And today's episode is, as always, personal, deep, raw, tender, a little poetic, because I want to talk about something that's been moving through me and an epiphany I had this weekend thanks to a book I'm reading. But what I've really been doing, and especially with the full moon we just had, was releasing the version of me who kept me safe. And that feels a little scary. I've been on this healing journey for over a decade. And first it started with the trauma work and the inner child work and really just allowing myself to breathe out of survival mode. It's been deep and I've peeled back layers and layers of survival. I've honored my nervous system. I've reparented my inner child and really done the work like so many of you have. And a huge part of that work was letting my inner protector lead because no one ever led me. I was never really taken care of in the ways that I needed, like so many of us aren't. And as an only parent too, and when I made it through cancer and then made it through paying off $1 million in medical debt and made it through just being okay with my 2 kids and being able to pay the bills, that protector is the one who saved me. She was fierce and focused and hypervigilant, and she made plans and she kept me accountable and she said no when I couldn't, and she made sure I didn't fall apart. And honestly, I owe her my life. She came online when I needed her most, when I was surviving. When the world around me felt anything but safe, she was there. And she's one of the reasons that I have the business that I have today, because she dug in and did it. But the last year, she's been so loud, louder than my joy, louder than my softness, louder than the version of me that wants to be free. And I recognized that this version of me was never meant to stay. And so this weekend, I've been on this deep dive into all these fiction books for once because my life was just racked with everything self-help. So this weekend, I'm reading A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book in the A Court of Thrones by Sarah J. Maas series. And there's no spoiler alerts for it's just a little glimpse. But when Feyre realizes she's no longer in love with a male who once protected her through trauma, she craved safety when she was surviving, but now she's longing for something more. And I sat there and I felt this and I saw myself, the version of me who needed rules, who needed rigid plans and early gym sessions and constant structure. She got me here. She helped me reclaim my body, my voice, my self-worth. But now I feel the ache to live, to move more intuitively, to express without permission, to feel good, like really, really good, not just functional. To not just be safe, which is where I've been the last 3 years, super safe, super neutral, super just in it, but to feel free. And that shift is messy and it's confusing because you still love the part of you that you're outgrowing. You still hear her voice. Don't stop. Keep going. Do more. You can't rest yet. But what I've been learning to whisper back is, thank you for protecting me, but I don't need you to carry me anymore. It was just so interesting reading this book and seeing the way that safety can go from feeling like a savior to feeling like suffocation when you're ready to move. And it's not that you don't love that part, right? It's not that the love wasn't real and the excitement of that life wasn't real, but we are ever evolving. And sometimes safety turns into that feeling of suffocation. And that's really where I've been at the last year of like, okay, my nervous system feels really good. I feel really safe. I feel really settled and rooted and grounded. And now it's time to just be fully alive. And that's a huge part of embodied divinity, is being in the present moment, being in your humanness, being embodied in the here and now without all of the rigidity. I talked a couple weeks ago about the obedience wound and how we can hyperfixate even on our healing journey on doing everything right. You know, there was a time 4 or 5 years ago when I didn't feel worthy unless I was waking up every morning and journaling and writing gratitude and meditating. And that turned into a form of obedience to spirituality rather than just living intuitively and in the moment. And it's moving through that flow that can sometimes feel scary, because I'll tell you, the last few years of my life without all the structure has felt wobbly, still beautiful, still magical, but I've had to learn a new level of recalibration of not having all of the structure. And now that I've let go of the structure and I still feel the safety, now my soul is screaming for something more. But I think a part of this journey that not a lot of people talk about is there's a huge grief in letting go of these versions of yourself. And for me, in letting go of my protector, even if she was rigid, even if she was exhausting, she was my shield. And so you might be letting go of a version of you. Maybe it is your protector. Maybe you're right here with me. Maybe it's a different version of you. But when you begin to soften, to rest more, to not want to hustle, to feel like everything you've built is unraveling, it can feel like a failure. But one thing that I know with 100% certainty is it's not. It's evolution. As I've let go of so many parts of my career structure and my life structure that once made me feel valid and like something was holding me, like working with certain clients, there was so much validation in being able to say I could do that. Even 10 years ago, being a principal, there was so much validation in being able to say that, to have that title, that structure, that knowing that I was contributing to productivity. And now, being in this phase, it's like I get to see the value in the fact that I've lived from a softened, recalibrated nervous system, and my kids have got to see that, and it's healed generational trauma. I get to see success in having time and space freedom to be able to to garden at 11 in the morning and go on slow spring walks and sip tea like it was the last one I'd ever drink. I get to see success in those things rather in all of these things that I used to let fill me. And there was months when I felt like everything I was doing was wrong, because as I would let go, there would be nothing there to catch me but the void, but source, but myself, no external of any kind. And I would feel lazy and like I wasn't doing enough because I wasn't as productive. And if you felt that, I want you to know you're not lazy. You're integrating. You're not lost. You're reorienting. You're not broken. You're becoming. You're in a cocoon. And in the cocoon, the caterpillar doesn't just grow wings. It literally dissolves. It turns into this plasmic goo. And every part of its structure dissolves and crumbles and slowly rebuilds. So if you're tired or crying more than usual or feeling apathetic or neutrality or rawness, I want you to know you're right on time. There's a version of you waiting on the other side of the ache, and she's soft but powerful, sensual, magnetic, radiant. She trusts herself and leads with love, not fear. But this version of you can't rise while you're still wrapped in armor. So this week, I want to invite you to say thank you and goodbye to the one who kept you safe. To write them a letter, to cry to them, to bless them, and then choose, not forcefully, but gently, to make space for what's next. And as always, to help you move through this, I created a whole sacred suite of tools. On Wednesday, there will be an activation called Calling Back My Power with Grace. And then there's a really fun bonus activation coming out at some point called The Womb of Becoming. And that'll be, I don't know which day, but someday this week. And then there's also the sleep meditation, I Am Safe to Evolve. And over on my Substack account, you're going to find tons of articles. If you're subscribed to me on Substack, they'll come right to your inbox. But articles about this that give you step-by-step information on how to move through this. And daily notes on my Substack that's going to just help you feel seen and heard in this whole journey. And you can always reach out to me. You can always connect. But I want you to know more than anything that you're not meant to hustle your way into wholeness, and you're not meant to carry every version of you forever. Sometimes healing means resting, and sometimes freedom looks like letting go, and sometimes it's okay to simply sit in the ache of becoming and trust that the new version of you is on their way. I know it doesn't always feel good. I know it's not always magical and aesthetic, but it is so deeply powerful to reclaim that version of you that gets to be fully alive. I love you. I see you. I'm walking this right here with you. Breathe deep and plan on miracles. I'll see you soon.